The enemy has a name, and that name is secularism.
Because when I'm reading Schmemann, I'm like, progress isn't a thing that this liturgy of orthodoxy is concerned with.
Well, what Schmemann's saying is that coming back to that sacramental kind of understanding of the world as our relationship with each other and the world around us, the physical world gets restored again.
His big thought is Christianity is the end of religion.
Yeah.
That's his big thought.
Right.
I don't know if I'm about to lose my job, to be honest, but I'm like...
Are you going to publish this one?
No, it was crazy.
Maybe we won't.
No, I will. Kia ora koutou and welcome to Lunch on the Way. Today we talked about Eastern Orthodox theologian extraordinaire Alexander Schmemann's book, For the Life of the World, and it was a phenomenal conversation between Jonathan, Graeme, and I. We looked at how the world is deeply sacramental from an Eastern Orthodox perspective and disagreed and we were really confused some parts, but we found something really good and really helpful about who the church is and how we can participate in the world in a different way, in different manner because of what Christ has done, that the past and the future have converged into the present moment in the church, and that we can live differently as a result of that. And the one big thought that Schmemann has is that Christianity is the end of all religions. So if you're interested in this conversation, listen all the way through. It's a bit technical at times, but well worth it for the first conversation and first episode for 2026. We start the new year with a splash. Anyway, here's that conversation. Jonathan,
Yeah.
we're pumped that you're here.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to talk about Alexander Schmemann.
Yeah, as I was saying to...
Oh, my goodness.
I'm like, it's been actually a while since I've read it, so let's see where we go, Matt. I'll be keen to just hear your views.
Do you know who he is? Like, do you know a background, like a bio of who Alexander Schmemann is?
He was born in Estonia. Do you know where
Estonia is one of the Baltic states.
Yeah, it was formerly Soviet.
Well, it has history too, because you've got Latvia, you've got Lithuania,
I knew he'd know.
you've got so Belarus, and you've got these three Baltic states. So during World War II, I think the Soviets. The history goes with Sweden and the Russians.
Okay.
But they're independent states since 1990.
Okay.
Yeah, so since the
break in the Union.
Okay.
And now they're shaking in their boots with Russia.
Oh, they were
again.
shaking their boots with Russia.
Conscripting people, citizens and everything. Yeah.
Wow.
Anyway, so he's from that part of the world.
Yeah, and I think he's an immigrant. Is it?
Yep.
He moved to the United States.
And this is in the middle of the 20th century, right?
That's right. Yeah. So
that would be sort of post World War II, just after World War II, because there is a bit of a sense of the German influence, the Nazis, because the Finnish align with the Nazis because they don't like the Russians.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there's all sorts of politics. Oh, there's all sorts
that.
of politics that go on.
That.
Yo.
Yeah.
All right.
So
this is back in the.
Okay.
I found out too that the Finns are kind of Russian, but they're the white.
Really?
That's kind of I've picked a little bit of that up by reading around that.
This is a rich stream of history that we need to tap into with Graeme, man.
I love history, and I kind of think, what goes on there?
Okay.
Yeah, that was really okay. So we know more about Alexander Schmemann than I ever thought we would.
Amazing.
I don't know about him, but I know a little bit about that.
So he's an Eastern Orthodox priest.
That's right.
And scholar and theologian, if you will.
All those things.
From the middle of the 20th century, immigrates
dies
over.
in the 80s, early 80s.
Oh, really? Dies in the early 80s, immigrates to the U.S. is where he really gets his voice.
Yeah, he becomes like the rector of Saint Vladimir's cemetery.
Vladimir.
The big American,
East Orthodox.
Eastern Orthodox.
So sorry, what is that? A big position?
It's in California, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like the big Eastern Orthodox seminary.
Oh,
so a lot of all the big guys go through there, and those kind of theologians.
And so he comes onto the scene, and why is he such a big deal? Why is he so influential?
I think for a number of reasons, because he brings back liturgy and the liturgical kind of liturgical theology. So he thinks theologically through the liturgy of the Orthodox Church.
Yes.
Not only that, he then goes on to critique secularism through the liturgy.
Which is amazing.
Yeah. And the Western world as it currently stands at that time, but also then speaks into our time too.
Because it's just kind of on a same continuum.
So he's phenomenal in that. But in my mind, he's also phenomenal because he does kind of like a poetic theology as well. His writing's beautiful. And he did it specifically. He said, I'm going to stop writing for the academic and I'm going to start writing for the lay person in the church. And he makes that move.
That's where the money's at.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah. But he doesn't dumb it down. He just moves away from that world. He's like, why?
So
anyway, I find that really interesting.
Not that I'm going to keep looking at this, but I was reading this before, and the way he describes liturgy was a very interesting thing, which I thought, so could you unpack what he means by liturgy?
So
that's
the book that we're referring to here is For the Life of the World.
Yeah.
Jonathan turned me on to it as a consequence. Graeme, I read this book as a part of my PhD work just to get his understanding of what a sacramentality of the world really means.
Yeah.
Because obviously it dives into metaphor and symbol naturally.
Yep.
It's like, what do you mean by those?
Yep.
And it was...
And then goes further, which is really important.
Unreal.
Yeah,
it was
which
like
is unreal.
It was mind blowing.
Yeah,
and a part of me, as I was reading it, I was like, "Yes, he's Eastern Orthodox, but there has been nothing he's said that I actually disagree with."
Yeah,
and that's what's been most shocking to me.
Okay, that's interesting.
I'm like, maybe I'm just too gullible, but I'm like, why? That's
I was trying to find when I was reading this, and again, I have to keep coming back to kind of get my head around. I'm trying to find what his center is, like
these are good questions.
Big
questions.
He because that chapter on time and mission.
Yeah.
I mean, I really loved it, but then I'm going, now how does he get there? So I've gone back just this morning and had a quick little read, but that's a question. What's his scene? Where does he? Because he seems to say in one part about Christianity's kind of got it wrong.
Yeah.
Like a popular kind of Christianity.
Yeah.
Like we've wrecked the thing.
The middle of the 20th century.
Kind of into kind of everything's spiritualized.
Yeah, that's right. So you get he critiques so many different things and puts a whole different spin on them. One of them is the dualism of the secular and the physical. Yeah. That there's a dualism to be had there. There's just like the world is just material.
Yeah.
Or if it's not just material, then it's all spiritual. And he's like, no, it can't be. You can't have that dualism.
Yeah.
Especially not in a sacramental kind of understanding of the world. But there's so many ways to approach that.
We could approach it so many ways.
Maybe one way in is say, I think, this is just my personal opinion.
Yeah.
I think the best way to understand Schmemann is to read him through the lens of Genesis 1.
Yes,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You think this too?
I think the same way.
Oh, so Genesis 1.
Because I think what he does. Well, I think one way to think about what he's doing is to say, what was the world made for originally?
Yeah.
And I think that's what the liturgy is bringing us back into. It's trying to we've moved so far away, obviously, because of the fall and whatnot. We've moved so far away from, that's a big thing, Genesis 1. But he wants to say, what was the world originally made for? And how do we come to live into that world again?
So let's start.
I think that's
there.
what he's saying. Can I say it might be helpful to say how I came to Schmemann?
Yeah.
So I came to him through my PhD when I was reading a lot of guys that were critiquing the Western view of the world, and I wanted to understand what are some people that are in the West that see the world completely differently than I do?
Yeah.
And I thought, there's no one. Like, we're all caught up in the Western kind of understanding of the world, until I came across Orthodoxy. And realize that these are very Western people that see the world completely differently than I do. Like, it's just fundamentally different. And then I'm like, why do they see the world differently than we do? And then it comes back to because the liturgy that they practice every Sunday is set up to reframe the whole world for them all the time. So I think that's what Schmemann's getting at. He's like, the liturgy...
He talks about
the liturgy
as
shows us how to live in the world.
What I briefly called about the liturgy is kind of its frame within a community. How he describes what liturgy is, not just these sort of, as I briefly kind of called it there. It has tied into the acting of a community together.
I think
is that right?
Yep, I think that's right.
So there's acting of the community together, whatever that acting is in the story.
Yep. So yeah, there's so many things that he goes through and kind of hits.
Let's begin with the biggest one, because the biggest one is what he starts with, which I thought which completely dismantles secularism, in my opinion.
Yep.
And that's his Eucharistic understanding of reality.
Okay.
Not just when people hear the word Eucharist, they think of, if they're Greek language people, thanksgiving or thankfulness.
Yeah.
But traditionally, it's understood within the sacraments of the Lord's Supper, Eucharist. It's the Eucharist. It's the thanksgiving. It's the thankfulness to God. But what he does is something really interesting with it. Do you remember?
No.
No? Okay, so what he does is he basically says with Genesis 1, the original state of humanity is in communion with God, but it's not in communion with God in a kind of evangelical framing. We're in communion with God in the world in which he created and blessed through declaring it to be good.
Yeah.
And in declaring the world to be good, he's essentially saying that there needs to be some level of reciprocity where humans then need to receive that blessing in order to actually truly be in communion with God. So what they do, and what the first humans do, is they name what God has created. As in, God has given us these things, we've named them, which means we've given things meaning, and we're now participating in the world that God's created and blessed for us. And he would argue that within his Eastern Orthodox theology, that is the Eucharist. It is to receive and to give blessing.
Right.
It's like mutual blessing, mutual thanksgiving, and that is what it means to be in communion with God. And so you eating the fruits of the land, working the land, and being in the garden, if you will, to extend that metaphor out, is being in communion with God.
So that language is
man was no longer.
It's highly participative.
Oh he puts the rational kind of thinking about God. He doesn't get rid of it, of course, but he puts it in its place. So it's the practical is, everything. Like our actual participation is how we commune with God. The rational is part of that, but it's not the highest part of that.
No.
Could you say in that sense that we intuit the world?
I don't know about the word intuit.
Not now.
No.
He's kind of talking about a pre-fall state. This is the whole point of the liturgy, I think, is to work through that biblical narrative in such a way that we get to see things in light of Christ afresh, to get us back to that, to get us repositioned within that Genesis 1 communion with God.
Okay.
And that's the whole point.
So that reframes the kind of...
His second big point within that is, if I could, and then we can kind of bounce off from there, is he says that man, humankind, is hungry. We're hungry beings. We're hungry beings, and we're hungry for what? Well, we're hungry for God. And in receiving the goodness that God has given us through the material world, through the physical world, and to receive that as almost, in a sense, communion with him, we're satisfied because we're receiving him, in a sense, through receiving his world. And he says where it breaks is where man hungered for more than God. It's when we hungered for more than God is when the fall happens. But one of the most radical statements, and if you YouTube Alexander Schmemann, probably one of these videos will come up with some old audio of him, because I did this, and his big thought is Christianity is the end of religion. That's his big thought. And what he means is that Christianity is the end of the post-fall hunger for more than God. That Christianity has finally satisfied the very thing that all religions are pointing to, which is I'm hungry for God. And no longer is the world set up in that way anymore, because Christ has not just symbolically changed things, has not just like changed things for the future only, but the present is still in this fall state. He's saying that no, God through Christ has materially, physically changed reality itself through his incarnation, death, and resurrection. To where the physical world is different.
And because we can, the physical world's different because now we can partake in the physical world, but receive Christ through it. And those two things are joined back together again. We're in the garden, we always communed with God through the physical world. But in the fall, we turned only to receive our being from the physical world, not from God within inside of it. So we took which doesn't have life in it, and we did that by eating the material world. that became our source, but of course it only leads to death because it doesn't have the depth, it doesn't have the life in it. So when Christ comes back in and he says, eat my body, we're eating Jesus, the life of Jesus, but we're also eating him through the physical world has been given to us.
So it's not a kind of like the physical world, and then that's kind of spiritualized.
So you break down the dualism again.
Yeah.
You don't have a spirituality and a materiality. You have them both together. The other thing is it does is that the material world doesn't become a resource for us. It becomes the very place where we commune with God again. So everything's put back in its right place, and I would say it's named properly again. Because we name the world wrong at the moment.
Okay. So that's interesting, isn't it? Because the pre-fall naming is the right naming. So if I'm hearing you up, just to try and...
This is a bit cryptic.
Is it cryptic?
No, it's good. This is really tough to understand.
Oh, is it? Okay.
So the pre-fall is a sense of which our participation in the creation is a sense... our connection to God. There's awareness and a consciousness of God that as we're participating, we're conscious of God. Because of the fall as a kind of wanting more than that, what is there more than that?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It turns out to be less than that.
It is, but we feel like there's more.
Yeah.
But it's actually less.
Yeah.
I find that really kind of quite hard to get my head around.
It's reaching for something it's reaching for a life that is not yours to have at that time.
Right.
So,
So was there, I listened to this guy, John Bevere. Is it not Bevere, but John Beer?
John Beer, yeah.
And I thought that was really interesting. He talked about the fact of being created.
Yep.
And with Christ, we move towards the uncreated.
Okay.
I don't know how you get around that.
I'm not sure.
But he talks about, so as a whole, it's in that Gospel Connections.
Okay.
I'm just have to kind of, I don't know. I'm trying to get my head. But okay, so the fall is the losing of that consciousness of God. Then it sort of becomes very flat of just the material world.
I think what you described is really helpful, Jonathan, to explain that, because it's taking something that is not yours for now. So an example would be like the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. I don't think he says this, but the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, it's good for that humans, that we know what is good and bad. Yeah. It's good that we know those things, but we wanted to know now as opposed to in God's timing. We hungered for more than what God was inviting us into.
I guess I was thinking I was trying to marry those two things together, John Beer. Right. I was saying, was that wanting more as the created to be the uncreated? That's
okay. I'm not sure.
I don't know. I was just pushing that. So.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's not get sidetracked.
Yeah. We'll get sidetracked.
I'll go back and have another listen to that.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it.
Yeah. So that's kind of like the basis, right?
That's the basis where he builds everything up from.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it was so profound when I was reading that, because a part of me is like, it just completely dismantles the if you will, like a Western secular understanding of what a metaphor is, of what a symbol is. I remember I was with one of my colleagues here at the school. We were discussing, is everything metaphorical? Isn't just symbol metaphor? And I wrongly said, everything is metaphorical. But then I was reading Charles Taylor, and he said, well, symbol is different. He said, symbol is like a metaphor. I know, sorry, audience, we're getting technical here. It's all good. Yeah. Metaphor is seeing one thing or understanding one thing through another. Yeah. Right? That's a metaphor. Yep. And a symbol is like that, but it's like the radical edge of it. Yep. And so what Taylor argues is that a symbol is actually really only understood within an enchanted pre-modern worldview, where a symbol is to say that the material thing itself is not just a metaphor in the sense of it's illustratively trying to get you somewhere to understand something, which I don't think metaphor does. But he says a symbol actually carries the thing. So, for example, in an Old Testament understanding of the sacrificial system, slaughtering the lamb for the forgiveness of sins for Israel, it's like, oh, well, we could just use, a pigeon, or we could just use like a goat. It's like, no, you have to use a lamb. If you don't use a lamb, then the thing itself that you're trying to symbolize will not happen. So that he's like, so for a secular worldview, we don't understand symbols.
Yep.
Because symbols we just think are like illustrations.
Right.
They're not.
Oh, that's a really interesting. So they
He
carry
sees
something. That's quite helpful.
a symbol is like an inbreaking of it's like a container of the deeper spiritual realities of the world
Okay.
into the physical world that we live.
Yeah, okay.
And so when I read that with Taylor and I'm
Yeah.
reading Schmemann
Yeah.
with the Eucharist, and he's like, I'm not going to get into the details of whether this is like actually the body and
Yeah.
blood of Christ.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't care about that.
Yeah.
He says, it is,
Yeah.
but probably in ways that we don't understand.
Yeah.
And he's referring back to the symbolic moment.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
of course, this is more than just illustrative.
Yeah, yeah.
Of course, this is more than just remembrance in a flat sense.
Yeah.
It's actually inviting us into Christ himself.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that's right.
And that's why it's symbolic.
Okay, that's
That's what I mean by symbol.
Yeah, interesting. Because when I hear that, like I've always thought of symbol as something as a sign that points beyond itself.
Yeah.
So it points to something that's not itself.
Well,
That's
it
what a
does that
symbol
too.
does. It does that too.
Yeah.
And but then I would say, okay, but it's the sacramental that is where they're both together.
Yep.
Yeah. So I would differentiate between a sacramental and symbol.
Yeah.
But maybe Taylor doesn't do that. I don't.
He might. I haven't gotten far enough in reading it.
Because
Yeah.
what you described to me was the sacramental
Yeah.
understanding of the world. Yeah.
Yeah. Which
Yeah.
for a pre-modern person, all symbol is sacramental in that sense.
Yeah.
It seems like it's after the Reformation, after the
Right.
Enlightenment, that symbol and sacrament get split up.
Yeah.
And then sacrament is just kind of pushed to the side.
That's so
And
interesting.
then it's all just relative. And
Yeah.
of course you can use chips and cheese for the body and
Yes.
blood of Christ.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
And then someone who is a Catholic or Eastern Orthodox is like,
What are you doing?
I don't think you can.
Yeah.
It's like, of course you can use rice and whatever the equivalent it is in Asia.
Yes.
It's like, well,
yes.
it's
Can you?
contextual, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah, that's so true.
is it?
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm saying this not fully agreeing with myself.
Yeah, I know.
You know,
Yeah,
I'm wrestling
exactly.
in that.
Yeah.
But this is what Schmemann's opened up, where I'm like, gosh,
Exactly.
what's your?
No, that's
yeah.
what I saw with Schmemann too. Is like you're like, how are you even seeing this in the world?
Yeah.
It's what you're saying seems very right. It resonates so deeply, but I'm like, I don't know how you're seeing that.
I'm still getting my head around this. Like,
Yeah.
trying to get.
Yeah, what are you thinking?
Yeah, well, I'm trying to get my head around.
You're
so
our
back
audience
to-
today.
Yeah, because I'm
yeah.
trying to understand.
Yeah.
So post the fall
Yep.
of the Genesis 3, our naming becomes distorted because our
Right.
consciousness of God
Yep.
sort of split. So God is sort of beyond, and so the only thing, the material world becomes our place of feeding only.
Yeah.
So has no God part in it. Although you can't really say that in the ancient world because they're always kind of making up stories about.
No, secularism didn't happen after the fall.
No, but I'm saying
Yeah.
there's a sense in which
Yeah.
that language is now distorted.
But there is a change of our attitude towards the land.
That's
but
what I'm trying to
towards
get
the
at.
physical world, and for the physical world towards us after the fall. So it becomes a place of hard work and of only growing thorns and thistles. That's what happens with Adam. For Eve, it becomes a place of pain with childbearing. Also, there's the relationship between man and woman is broken. We see each other.
Yeah.
We see each other not as a place where we receive our life from each other, but we desire each other in different kind of ways. So everything about us has become distorted. Our relationship with each other, our relationship with the physical world, all becomes distorted after the fall. It becomes a place where we have to find our life. God isn't the source of life anymore. The physical world is. So we break our relationship with everything. That's sin, right? The broken relationship of everything.
Yeah.
Everything becomes a distorted relationship. And this is, of course, spinning way back, is that God brings us back into a right relationship with himself. And that's the healing of sin, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the distorted relationship with the physical world. What Schmemann's saying is that coming back to that sacramental kind of understanding of the world, as our relationship with each other and the world around us, the physical world gets restored again. We start to see it as a place of life,
Yeah.
which God is intimately involved with.
So a key part And Graeme, I think this is actually really helpful. If you keep asking questions,
okay,
and you keep
go for it.
Where you think we're lacking, because
it's only me asking questions that I don't quite understand.
No,
should I just read this little summary? This is the top summary line. Maybe you've covered this.
No, you go for it.
Schmemann argues that Christianity is fundamentally in its core sacramental. The world is created to be a means of communion with God. The physical world is our means of communion with God. We don't bypass the physical world, is what he's saying.
And a part of you is like, no duh. Because there is no other world other than the world we live in.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay. And then we could get down to how we might be bypassing our actual relationship with God. Modern Christianity, he claims, and I think he puts Protestant theology in this, not all of it, and certainly not all parts of it, but just as a broad statement, Protestant theology, modern Christianity, he claims has forgotten the vision by reducing religion to morals, rituals, and this is rituals and private spirituality. The church's liturgy reveals the true meaning of the world as gift. So the physical world as gift, thanksgiving, and participation in divine life. So by participating in the physical world, we start to participate in divine life. Where I think that's very different than what, I don't know, I was brought up to believe.
A lot of Protestant theology is escapism, in a sense.
Yeah.
Let's get away from
in
this
any kind of
world.
ways, it's Gnostic.
Yeah.
It's so rationalistic.
Yeah.
It's so just about right doctrine with no real right participation. So, yeah.
Some movements tried, like my Wesleyan movement, tried within the holiness conversation. What does it mean to live rightly participating?
Yes.
And so John Wesley had a big phrase or saying. He's like, well, what is sin, John Wesley? What's sin? He said, sin is anything that, I'm paraphrasing now, sin is anything that dampens the flame of the Spirit in your life.
Right.
So it's that way of how do you live?
Yeah.
How do you participate well with God?
Mm-hmm.
And
so, in the Pentecostal tradition, I mean, I know that it's very kind of tied to evangelicalism in New Zealand.
Yeah.
But if you start thinking about it, and I think this is a little bit of our kind of thinking, as we talk back and forth, and it's not sort of, but it's the spirit in the world that kind of, in one sense, the world is alive with the Spirit. So it kind of, in a really sort of experiential way, invites you into sort of becoming conscious of where actually, so the language becomes where's God alive? You sort of become predisposed to looking for that. I realise in my own spirituality that's kind of where I've gone. But without sort of having all of this. And maybe that's why Pentecostals at another level find resonance in Eastern Orthodox theology.
I think that's right. And here, I think there's a real fine line to cut here, because I understand what you're saying. But when I have gone to Eastern Orthodox liturgy, they don't talk about the Spirit in the world. And they don't see, because that's still kind of, to me, I hear the dualism in it. There's the world and the Spirit is in it. They just don't think like that. They're not talking in that kind of language. So, I mean, to push it right to the edge here, they drink holy water.
So what makes it holy? It's just all water's holy then.
Yeah, it's given by God. And it's blessed.
Blessed by the priest,
It's
right?
blessed by the priest.
Yeah.
But it's blessed because it's given its name. Yeah. It's given its name.
So language now becomes...
the actual material world, it doesn't have a spirit in it. The Spirit's not in it. It is good. The material world is good.
So an example,
I'm trying to get to
that
very kind of thin edge.
The thin edge is an example. Is he talks about baptism on how do you enter into this communion with God through the church, and I'm not going to represent it well. I know I'm not, but he basically says that because of Christ and because of him submitting to baptism, and because of everything as a consequence of his incarnation, death, resurrection, ascension, everything, Spirit coming, water itself materially has shifted. Where in baptism as a sacrament within Eastern Orthodox theology, the anointing and the entering into the church actually happens materially through the water. It's not just a flat symbol like it represents something. It is beyond representative. It constitutes the thing itself. Like that's what he means by sacrament.
Yeah.
Right? It's not
Yeah.
just a window into another world. It's almost like the world has come into the window to you, and there's no secular and spiritual divide.
Yeah, that's right. There's no spiritual and material. You couldn't even cut it that fine. The material world becomes actually our communion with God. We're not communing with the Spirit in the material world.
No.
We're communing with God in the material itself.
And you don't
that isn't a pantheism. Like, he's not saying the material world is divine. That is absolutely not. And we'd have to get into some real deep theology to parse that apart, but that's not what they're saying either.
But he's not saying, what was I going to say? Like, I don't think you need to be Eastern Orthodox to receive a special baptism and now you're part of the church. Like, for example, Catholics would say you need to be baptized into the Catholic Church to be a part of the Church of Jesus Christ. I don't think that's what he's saying. I think what he's saying is that across the Christian spectrum, water baptism, there's more going on there than what you realize. And the liturgy of the Eastern Orthodox Church, in his opinion, pushes that theology out through the action itself.
Yeah.
And demonstrates that there is no secular world. The secular world is a myth.
I mean, we could put this. Oh, sorry. We could jump to time and maybe talk through it in time. So he would say participating in the church calendar, participating in the liturgy of that church calendar, Lent, all the big major seasons of the church calendar is itself the redemption of time. Our sticking to it, working through it year after year is us being sanctified through our whole way of being in time completely changing.
Right.
Because otherwise time's just is seen as this linear thing that just leads to death. Just goes away. But actually the church itself, the rhythms it sets up is our sanctification of time itself.
So, you go for it, Graeme.
So is the church the sense of us entering into this life of the church, which is the liturgy?
Yeah.
Makes us it I'm trying to find words. Posture, whether that's the right word or what, but it frames us into a way of becoming conscious of a world that is alive.
I think that's right. I think that's one way you can put it.
Because I was thinking about the way of, when I was saying about the Spirit.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying, but I was thinking, I'm thinking about my own experience. Increasingly, it's how, I guess it's the way you language this, I suppose. It's helped me, my prayer would be, help me to be conscious of that you're alive in the world.
Yeah. I think that's a good call. And then I think Schmemann would say, how do you become conscious of that then?
Because is it just an independent sort of like what you're pushing against is like, Holy Spirit, you're going to be...
make me conscious, make me conscious.
But actually, I think where I was sort of trying to come from, and that's language, is, and I'm struggling with that, is actually, no, the world is alive. Yeah. It's all alive. The consciousness is, I guess, the illuminating of the Spirit of the consciousness. That's what I was... Maybe that's what I'm trying to say.
And then he would say, I think this is what he's wanting to push at. And I could be wrong here, but he's wanting to say, but where does that happen? Like, where are you actually going to be... Where's your mind? Where's your body? Where's your whole way of life going to be shaped to that end? And he would say, it's in the church. The church is a new... It's a new world. And you have to be in the church, living all the rhythms of the church to understand, to live in that new world. I mean, this is where the Orthodox and Catholics would do this too. They make a very strong line on that. You have to come into the church.
Yeah, so it brings back the church.
But they say that not just to get you numbers in the door. They're saying, come into the church so that you will see what life is really about.
It's not just cognitive. It's an embodied. It's your body has to be there.
Exactly.
So to go back to time a little bit, and this kind of goes into what he understands the church as. He sees the church as a sacrament of the kingdom of God. Yeah. So
in fact, he sees it as a mini cosmos.
Yeah, he does.
So the way that the church is stacked how the whole cosmos is supposed to look and function. The whole cosmos is supposed to function like the church is a mini cosmos. So when you live in the church, you are living in the whole, what the cosmos is supposed to look like. Sacramental, redeemed time, with a communion, an ecclesia of people, all these things. So it's mind-blowing when you think about it.
Yes. So with time, this is going to get complicated. And can I talk about
complicated.
Time? So because the church is a sacrament of the kingdom of God, we'll simplify it there. What does that mean? It means that the church is actually a living symbol of this future reality that is living in the present.
Yes.
And so what he says is that the liturgy of the Orthodox Church demonstrates this and invites people into, and I'm using Wolfhart Pannenberg term, into a proleptic time.
Yep.
And by proleptic, what Pannenberg means is there's no linearity to time anymore. There might be from our perspective,
that's right.
But because of Christ, time now is always overlapping within the past, present, and future.
Well, this is what Paul is saying when he says the old man must die and the new one must live. So our bodies are already, the material world is caught up in linear time, and it's going to die away. But there's another time. There's another time that's playing at the same time.
At the same time. There's historical time, and then there's new creation time.
And they're both happening at the same time.
So what's happening with the church is I know. Sorry, here we go.
Sorry, man, we just jumped to
So the church is being ushered. This is all happening in the past, but every moment of the present and into the future because of Christ and the Spirit. So basically, the church is living into this future kingdom, is being ushered into the very presence and throne room of God. This is not a future reality. This is a present moment into a future reality. It's proleptic in that sense, where the future is made present. And so the church in the liturgy is being ushered in to the future, to the fulfillment of all things. And then simultaneously, through the actual participation of the Eucharistic moment at the end, the bread and the wine and everything are being brought back.
Yeah.
So there's this always living in the future and living in the present and living in the past, the church is.
Yeah.
And so what does it mean to be the church as a sacrament of the kingdom? It means that, like you've just said, you are a mini cosmos of the future fulfillment of the world.
Yeah.
You will not be perfect. This doesn't mean perfectionism. This doesn't mean any of that. What it means is that there's a reality available to the church, which is unparalleled to human history at any point in time because of everything that Jesus did. And that is that's the bit where I resonated the most with him. I'm like, that's what I've been reading with George Allen Ladd. When you read the New Testament, you're like, how can you not? New creation has come. That is exactly what I read in the New Testament and through even 20th century theologians. But what he does is he pushes the sacramental envelope quite a bit further and says, actually, because of that, the material world is different. Because of that, time is different. Because of that, there's no such thing as secularism. And then because of that, religion is dead. Religion is done with because man's hunger has been satisfied in God because of that. Because of that Eucharistic participation, and I would even say he goes as far as to say, we are participating in what's that dance? The dance of the Trinity?
Perichoresis.
We are participating in the dance of the Trinity. Because of Christ, we are communing with God. Like in Genesis 1, because of the Eucharist of Christ.
To the point that Christ's life is available to us in all things now. It's
pretty profound stuff.
It's pretty intense. It is pretty profound. And there's so many questions I guess we can't cover here, but man, so many things come to my mind.
I'm not going to do the fun little thing I want to do at the end of this because it's just,
you should.
We're going to now. I want to have this conversation forever.
My question here
we
is
can't.
My mind is really struggling to grasp. And because I'm kind of around it, but I find it a difficult language. But I guess one of the questions, how do I live into this? I mean, that's the burning question. It's I love ideas. I love these concepts. But the world in which my experience lived, for it to be real, how do I live into that? To not just think it, but to feel it. To to experience it as a reality in ordinary life.
And simultaneously,
question,
the question under that question, I think, is: do I need to become Eastern Orthodox?
Well,
to really
that's
live
right.
this?
And do I need to
be honest?
As my community that I am part of, which I'm happy at. We do sort of interesting things with communion, and maybe not, but I live with that because not everything's going to be right anyway.
Yeah.
So in moving towards an understanding and grasping kind of how would you put it, like a little child at some of these ideas, but I'm asking, well, how do I embody that?
That's a good
question. How do I move forward to live into that?
That's a good question.
I've got one thought, and I'm sure you've got a thought too, Jonathan. One thing that I've been reading a lot about, and this has been such a technical conversation, I'm okay with diving deeper into the technicality of it. One of the things that the person you've turned me on to, who talked about phenomenology, what's the guy's name? Priest. Anyway, he talks about how you're just living in the world unobservantly, and that's the natural dimension or the natural attitude of the world that everybody has. You don't even think about the objects in the world. You don't even think about.
I call it pre-ontological.
Pre-ontological. So you just take a cup of coffee and you just drink it, or you just have a thought about a past event or whatever, and it just happens. And if you were to be aware of all those moments in the day, you wouldn't get anything done because you probably have 1,000 of them a minute. You have 1,000 interactions with an object a minute, if not more. But the phenomenological attitude or the transcendental attitude is when you're actually aware. You actually take a second and you think about the object that you're attuned to, and you're wondering, what am I actually doing here? Like, what actually is going on? And so one of the most practical things for me of how to live into this is to almost do a little bit of like a phenomenological cultural observation of secularism and the myths that I've bought into. And we talked about this a little bit with Greg when the questions asked him, which is secularism is all about progress, is all about getting things done, is about strategy. And not to say those things are bad, but how do those not cohere with the gospel? And because when I'm reading Schmemann, I'm like, progress isn't a thing that they're concerned, that this liturgy of orthodoxy is concerned with. No. And if progress isn't a thing that they're concerned with because time has been fulfilled in Christ and everything's happening, then that means that I need to really reassess the values that I've just implicitly received. Yep. And that might not sound practical to some people, but for me, that's deeply practical. Yep. It means I'm questioning the assumptions of always having more money. I'm questioning the assumptions of always upskilling in my work, progressing towards something. It's not to say those things are bad. It's just to say those things can become the thing instead of realizing what time I'm actually living in. Anyway, that's a long answer.
I would say I agree with all of that. And if I was just going to re-language it in my language, because I agree with you. I think there's everyone's on their own journey towards who knows where. You might end up in an Orthodox church. I don't know, but I don't think you have to.
No.
And I think one of the ways around that, I think it's really important for us to read people outside of modernity. And I say go back and read the Church Fathers because they are thinking about the world in a way that we don't think about the world, and it's refreshing. And also, I think it's incredibly revealing about how our own thought patterns and our own lives have been shaped in ways that we don't know. That we think are Christian and that we think are incredibly normal, but they're not. And so I would jump out of the period that you're living in and go back and read the sources. Go back and read the Church Fathers. Go back and then read the Bible through the Church Fathers. I think is really helpful because they're not reading it through historical critical lenses. They're not reading it through modernity lenses. They're not reading it through postmodern lenses. They're reading it in a completely different way, and I think that can start to break open our own thought patterns. I mean, this has happened. The Orthodox Church have always done this. In Catholicism, they had a moment where they call it ressourcement, where they went back. They realized they were thinking in modern kind of terms.
This is 20th century.
Yeah,
isn't it?
and there was a group of theologians inside the Catholic Church that went, we are so caught up in modernity that we need to break out of this. They did a ressourcement, meaning they went back to the sources.
Right.
And it completely changed what the Catholic Church thought it was about. And I think there's little pockets inside of Protestantism that are doing this, but I think it needs to happen on a bigger scale. We need our own ressourcement.
Well, there's no mass organizing institution.
There isn't, and that's a problem. Yeah. Well, it's a problem, and maybe it's also a freedom. Yeah. You know, there's always good and bad with everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, they have this. Go back, jump out. Stop reading all the latest guys who are so caught up in the modern project of needing to sell their books and all that, and go back to the sources.
They're not saying anything new anyway.
They're not, because they're really not. And in fact, unfortunately, a lot of modern theology is not talking about the most important things, which is how did Christ save us? And what does that mean for our world? I mean, these guys get to the sources. Go read Athanasius, on the incarnation. That book is mind-blowing.
And if you can, for a moment, you have to you can't do it entirely, but you've got to push away your modern assumptions.
Yeah. And
when they say the world, they don't mean what you mean.
They don't mean that. They don't mean the world. And look, if you need a Protestant to tell you this, you couldn't do any better than C.S. Lewis, who read On the Incarnation every year.
Oh, Athanasius.
Athanasius, yeah.
On the Incarnation. What's a particular accessible book in terms of that?
That one. It is so accessible.
So that's it's a translation.
Yeah, it's a translation.
Original one.
I think John Beer's done a modern translation of it.
Okay, so
and C.S. Lewis does the preface to it.
Okay.
I would just go back and read those sources.
Maybe that's what I mean.
So I think that's a one way to break out of the thing, because it'll give you a completely a different idea about what the world is.
I mean, I hope it is for all of us, but it is certainly for me a personal journey. Because I'm trying to. I'm trying to live it out. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to grasp the essence of Christian faith.
Definitely.
Which has been a lifetime.
Exactly.
It's not there.
Exactly.
So, what I was going to say, just even what you said before about the notion of having to get somewhere is loaded with a philosophical frame.
It is.
Of what I call, and we've talked about this before, of causation. Yeah. So the notion of the sort of formal causation is it just is. Yep. It's the whole ecology. But my assumption is, or my presupposition here in the world that we live in, it's driven on an efficient causality in Western society. Yeah. We're just besotted with, we can't get out of that frame. Yeah. And that's that idea that everything's moving towards, it has to have a goal. Yep. It's not to say goals are wrong. Yeah. But it's just we're so wired and so deeply immersed in that. Yeah. It frames everything how we think. Is that
I think that's right.
That's kind of what you're saying, wasn't it, Joe?
And I mean the Schmemann's sacramental world still has a goal. It has a telos, means that deeply embedded inside of it is a purpose. That's what he's talking about. So everything is deeply purposeful. It is going towards something. Yeah. But what it's all going towards in a sacramental world is communion with God. So in the modern period, everything is going somewhere, but it's our goal that we're trying to achieve to build a better world. So in the sacramental
I guess another
world,
way of saying that is like, I need to read this to learn more. Yeah. Or I need to read this just to worship God.
Exactly right.
So
I think that's a good distinction.
There's a really different attitude with there. And I was reflecting with somebody the other day about this. I was trying to find language to say, is there another way of seeing this drive to desire? Yeah. To grab a hold of something. Yeah. That when I come to this, it could be there's a sort of posture that kind of rings back. I just enjoy reading this because I feel like I'm communing with God. Yeah.
It is. No, you're right.
Is that
it's planting a field to be productive and to have a significant amount of income and to use the land as a resource. Yeah. And then there's planting a field to enjoy the fruits of what God provides at the end of it. Yeah.
There's in one way there's a sort of funny little tension here about even work.
Yep.
is the notion, like when I'm making something, it's actually I'm just fired by the making of it. But there's another part of me, oh, I could make this and I could turn it into and I could make some money.
Yeah. You know,
exactly. And they're playing with each other, actually.
Yeah.
And which one will, you know.
Yeah, that's so true.
Which one becomes the dominant reason for doing something. I think what I'm hearing with this is that the preset, the other is not wrong.
Yeah.
But what comes first is the issue here.
Yeah. I think that's right. And again, it comes back to I don't think you can think your way into this.
No.
I think you have to practice your way into it.
No, you can't. Like what we're doing right now, it's fun.
Yeah.
But you got to do stuff. Like this is not going to solidify a new worldview.
Yeah.
This is not going to reveal something about the world that it gets you there, but it doesn't. It helps you believe here, but not in your hands, your feet, and your heart.
And this is how we're so.
Yeah. I know, because if I just get, if I can just understand it, then I will go and do it.
Yeah.
And I think actually that's the Achilles heel.
Yeah.
It trips us up because it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So I guess that's why I was interested in asking at a personal level, as you've thought about this, Jonathan.
Yeah.
How do you move? How are you moving in practicing in this? Or are you struggling with it?
As I said, I mean, I think you guys asked me this ages ago. You know, how do you do this? And I said, I don't know, because I just don't know. Then my inkling is that it starts with prayer.
Yeah.
I really do think.
But then that can be, like there are moments in prayer.
But it's.
I mean, I had this experience yesterday. I sort of, I get up fairly early, and I have a routine, and then I pray. Sometimes my prayer is like yesterday's one, and you can't capture that moment. It just is. But I remember praying, God, help me be aware of today, and that what I might encounter. So I'm riding my bike to work, and I ride up the path, and I smell the air, and I'm going, oh, isn't summer so good?
Right. Yeah.
It just reminds me of early morning and a camping, and it's that moment. I remember this because it's a moment where I feel like I'm counting God.
Yep.
But it's nothing new.
Yeah.
It's nothing unordinary. It just is. I think that would be one way in which
that's a good point.
Leaning into it.
Yeah, that's great.
Is that?
Yeah. What do you think, Joey? How do you do it? Or what's your inkling to try this?
For me, it's I need to do more physically. And so an example is I put my oldest daughter to bed. She's 3 years old. And of course we pray, but I've learned, I'm like, no, I'm not just going to pray. I'm going to sing a prayer.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I sing a prayer, usually with another melody of a familiar song. And then, she's kind of aware, but she's like, oh, yeah, I remember that tune. But it helps. I know it's doing something deeper than just the words. It's like creating a song of life in her, I think, which she doesn't even realize is going on, and in me as well. And then I'm not Catholic or Eastern Orthodox, but then at the end of the prayer, I do the sign of the cross in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. I'm like, you want to hear you do it to me? And she's like, slapping me on the chest and stuff. And then she messes with me a little bit. And I'm like, I think it's actually that physical engagement into the intellectual, into like what your mind can perceive.
So there's a body thing happening.
Yeah, I
think
like,
there has to be.
It's just got to be a body. So like the biggest challenge with Schmemann.
But this is more than just like.
It's not psychological. It's not.
But it's even more than the kind of thinking these days. Hey, we've got to come back to the body. It's beyond that. It's that. Yes, it's that.
Yeah.
But it's laid on a different ground than just an academic kind of rally cry to come back to the body. It's even more.
Yeah.
It's saying, cool, that's good.
Well, it's the Spirit inviting the whole self. Like what Protestants love to do is they love to get caught up on which is true. It's the renewing of your mind. The renewing of your mind. The Spirit renews the mind, right? And I'm like, you're right.
And again,
it's
the
true.
Church Fathers say that, but what they mean by the mind is completely different than what we today mean by the mind. The whole.
What I read is the whole
body.
self.
Exactly, the whole self.
Yeah, so
the renewing of the whole self.
Yeah, and
that
so
is the mind.
The Spirit coming is not just for you to think better about God.
Yeah.
and have right thoughts. It's to invite you into a better relationship with the world in which you were created in. And what you do physically impacts everything. And so within my own discipleship and my daughters and other it's how can we do things. So what this does, it challenges me pastorally to, one, be way more intentional about the liturgy of the church, and two, in that liturgy, I think the Lord's Supper is that formative moment of like what we physically do together and participate in is more significant than what we realize. And I preached a sermon on this not too long ago where we didn't then participate in the Lord's Supper. I basically said, I don't know what the heck is going on here. I'm going to be completely honest. I'm not going to try and define it, and I'm just going to tell you it's more than you just remembering something that happened in the past.
Yeah.
And it's inviting you into something real.
Yeah.
And so if you want to be invited into something real today, come to this table. And that I kind of left it there. And yeah. But yeah,
so just think about the body one. I think so the kind of Protestant thing is just like we kind of separate it out. And I was just thinking about that experience the other day, or even you, that it's my whole being.
Yep.
It's everything.
Yeah.
About that communing space. So riding up the pathway, smelling the air.
Yep.
And just enjoying the sort of like freshness of the moment is not, my body is enjoying it. I didn't think like that.
Yeah.
There's a sense in which all of that moment is like, wow.
Yeah.
So is that what we're saying? So it's not broken apart.
Yeah, there's no divide.
Right.
There's no divide. There's a whole sense of all your senses. Well, senses of your sense of your being in. Yeah. In a place of connection.
Yep.
One thing he's got to work out, Schmemann's got to work out though, is what you talked about, is spiritual warfare and demonology a little bit.
We were talking about that before.
I think he's got to work that out a little bit. I didn't read anything in that he talked about with the sacramentality of the world. I think there's a little bit of holes in there.
Okay.
That's for a different conversation for another day. But I want to read a paragraph I wrote, because I wrote about 1,500 to 2,000 words within my PhD thesis in conversation with this. Yeah. And this kind of summarizes it a little bit. And then I want to talk about one more thing, if that's okay. The only way man is able to participate in the Eucharistic life of God in the world is in and through Christ. The Eucharistic invitation from creation to Christ is bound up in him. Water, bread, and wine being only symbols of this deeper spiritual reality is to miss Schmemann's point. The physical sign is the reality in Christ. As he states, the visible signs of the sacrament are washed off. The symbol is to become reality. The life itself is now to be the sacramental sign, the fulfillment of the gift. Schmemann means that the mysterious overlapping of the world to come with this age has also resulted in a deeper mysterious dimension to the sacraments, whereby we cannot treat them as purely metaphorical in a substitutionary sense. What I mean by that is, it's just, there's a literalness to the metaphor that is really pointing to. No, there's something, it's not just a one-for-one transaction. Yep. There's something deeper than you just trying to illustratively paint reality with a metaphor. Rather, they are sacramental metaphors, much like how marriage is transformed, becoming a sacrament through the reality and relationship of Christ to the world. The material of the other sacraments are no longer the same, heightening the metaphor to a sacramental metaphor. Mm-hmm. That's kind of my little bit of interpretation of Schmemann.
Yeah, I think that's right.
The metaphors are sacramental metaphors. In another way of saying it, they're like radical symbols. Yeah. So anyway, that's a kind of a bit of a summary of everything we talked about.
Can I add one thing to that?
Add one thing.
I would say just this last sentence. So what does the church do now? The church's mission is to witness to this transformed vision of life in the world. So we're to go out
and live
it, and to show people that the world is meaningful in itself, because it is communion with God.
You might be thinking,
that's so different.
It's so different.
It's so different.
You might be thinking Eastern Orthodox Christians or the church cares nothing for
what
mission.
What does Jesus mean by make disciples?
Exactly. It's just like, it's such an out there perspective. And also you might be thinking, wow, this sounds like the podcast is about to end. I got one more thing. Okay. I got one more thing. Jonathan, that was close. But to piggyback off of that missional going out, because the ecclesia, the church, has entered into the future through Christ as a result of the past, and all of it's made present in the now.
Yeah.
Because of that, the going out is a particular posture. And one of my favorite chapters in this that was, I almost, like, I describe it like I had almost like a second conversion when I read it. It was crazy.
Which chapter is that one?
I don't know if I'm about to lose my job, to be honest, but I'm like...
Are you going to publish this one?
No, it was crazy.
Maybe we won't.
No, I will. I will. For a second, I understood why they love Mary so much.
Okay.
I get it. So there was a chapter he talked about Mary. And within this chapter, he basically said, we don't worship Mary.
Yeah.
We don't venerate her.
Yeah.
But she's like she's like the foreshadow of what it looks like to be living in this eschatological communion with God.
Yeah.
Because when the angel came to her, and when the angel said, "You're going to bear the Son of God, the Savior of the world," and she's a teenager, her response was not the response of every other woman in the biblical narrative who couldn't get pregnant, and God said they would get pregnant through ridiculous means, like Sarah, who was old, and she was going to become pregnant, and she laughed, haha, that won't happen to me, and it did. Well, Mary, she's a teenager, and what was her response? I am the Lord's servant. Yeah. May what you've said to me be fulfilled. And he's like, that is the witnessing posture. That's the witnessing mission posture of Christians to the world. And she is the prefiguring of that. And it's that posture which, in some divine, mysterious sense, enabled the Savior of the world to become born into the world.
Exactly.
Is because of a woman like that.
Yeah.
And she redeemed the typology of Eve.
Yeah.
She didn't want more.
Yeah.
She only hungered for God.
Yep.
You know, and
then to put Orthodox language, she becomes the Theotokos.
Yeah.
This was so fought over. This is so fought over in the first couple of hundred years of Christianity. She becomes truly the God bearer. She truly births God materially.
Okay. Yeah.
He grows in the material womb of a woman and is birthed into the material world as fully God and fully human. The material world and the spiritual world are brought together.
Like you saying that right now, I feel like something's swelling up. I feel emotional. It's that profound.
This is what was fought over, and it is still fought over in Christian circles and in secularism. That God became material, a real person. How could it be? So maybe it was just his personality. Maybe it was just no. It was his body.
But you say, how could it be? And then I'm probably it's through the Spirit, to be honest. But I'm like emotional, thinking, how could it be any other way? You know, I'm like, how could it be any other way?
Yeah.
And that's why it's so controversial, so profound. So, what were you going to say, Graeme?
Yeah, it's
I don't
great,
know.
man.
I'm just grappling with these ideas. And I understand too when you say the Spirit welling in you, because you can't express. There's a sense of resonance. That's the word. I think it's a helpful one, but I don't. It's something's bubbling away. Whoa. But that passage with Mary, I read it the other day and was struck by it. But you've just given another. Which chapter is that one? I'll go.
It's near the back.
It's near the back.
Like one of the
I'll read
last
that
two.
One. Yeah. That's a really interesting thought.
So,
what a lovely thought to go into Christmas with.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
True.
Unfortunately, I'm not going to publish this till January.
Merry Christmas.
Because no one's going to listen to it over Christmas, unfortunately. So, two housekeeping things.
Yep.
Probably by the time I think it's public knowledge now. unless I'll just cut this out. If not, that I think your church knows and everyone knows you're going to take a new job and everything. So that means that it's
I probably won't be back here next year.
It's very unlikely you're going to be here. And if we do anything, it might just be an actual lunchtime catch up on Zoom, unfortunately, if we ever do anything again, the three of us. And another one.
But you guys are carrying on.
Well,
right?
in a different capacity. Graham's last day is.
True.
So Graham's. So what's happening with you? So sorry, Jonathan, what are you doing? Like, what are you shifting into?
So I'm going to go work at Dilworth. I'm going to be the religious education teacher there.
Yep.
I think
it's fantastic.
And that's a full-time job out in Central East?
Yep. Got to put on a nice shirt.
So Central East, is it Dilworth out? I thought it was Central.
No, it's in Epsom.
Yeah, I thought it was not too bad.
Yeah.
Right on side of Newmarket.
Yeah, so that's
Graeme?
wonderful. And Graeme, what are you up to?
I finish here with the School of Theology and going part-time.
Yep.
65, Indy. I've got the gold cards. Didn't I think of the gold part?
6 Oh my God. Sorry.
So it's work part-time and do the coaching and
through Center for Church Leadership.
Yeah.
So you're officially done with the School of Theology at Laidlaw College. Yeah, which is a big thing because you started back in 11?
What year? I started 15 years I've been here.
2010.
So anyone in church that needs some coaching, I know a fantastic coach that could coach you.
Graeme is in high demand as a coach.
Give him a call. Send him an email.
Well, no, you're really advertising me. Yeah.
He's a great question asker. He loves just to get in there, and I can tell him being coached when our conversations turn into, so how does that?
Yeah.
And I'm like, are you starting to coach me?
Yeah. And Joey, what about you?
Make your leadership great.
Yeah, nothing's changing for me.
No.
Just having slightly older children and
well, the PhD
writing.
keeps going, right?
Yeah, it does. I'm really loving the reading and the writing.
Awesome.
And I'm just, the toughest thing right now is just really getting that first chapter in.
Yes.
And I'm reading it. It's just so difficult to try and cram everything into one chapter because of the methodology I've chosen, which I'm more tempted now just to not do the actual qualitative work. I'm tempted to not do that anymore because it will take too much writing space.
Oh, yes.
And I'm more tempted just to do more of like a theoretical, methodological piece instead of the qualitative piece with helping churches understand their foundational metaphor. And the biggest insight I've had, within that is, and I've messaged to you guys, is I'm seeing, after reading Schmemann, I'm seeing two tiers of metaphors. There's probably more, but I'm seeing two within the life of a church. There's the sacramental metaphors, which things are different. And these are, the church is the body of Christ. The church is the temple of God. The church is the, I don't know, pick another metaphor, family of God. Like those aren't, you aren't just describing a literal thing. That is the literal thing. Yeah. Right? That is it.
Right.
But there are other metaphors that churches can use to best understand themselves contextually that are still true. Not on a sacramental level, but after reading Schmemann, I'm like, why not?
That's,
you know, I'm like, oh, why not? But because people are like, oh, the church metaphors, those are, you know, church is the body of Christ, church is the family of God, that's good enough for us. I'm like, yeah, but that's almost like saying, I believe in the vicarious nature of Christ. It's like, yes, that's good. But what does that mean for you?
Right.
Yeah.
And so you need, because what metaphors do is they reveal and they also hide.
Yeah.
When you use one metaphor, you're looking at something clear, but you're also forgetting about something. So you need another metaphor to bring something to your attention. Yeah. Anyway, so that's a little tidbit of what I've been wrestling with.
Cool, man. Sounds great.
Well, and we both agreed, you know, part of the podcast, and that's the part we'll miss you, but hopefully there's other spaces that maybe every now and again we can catch up. But it's actually been very forming.
Yeah.
You know,
absolutely.
ideas become, you know, we wrestle.
Yeah, we
do. And, you know, you realise actually for the listeners who are listening that actually we all need people that we can wrestle faith with, because it's not a lone journey.
Yeah, absolutely.
Particularly, you know, at different levels too.
Yep.
That should be a lifelong journey, I would think.
Yep, I love that.
And I would tend to do that. I mean, I might be 65 now, but I'll be doing it until the day I die, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
I told Graeme, him and I will have to get in my car with the gear and go to your office.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah. And we'll have to make the trip over there or something. He'll go on his little bike and I'll go on my car.
You guys come to the classroom. We could do it with the kids.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, fit it into the curriculum. We'll do it.
Oh, you're going to have some fun, aren't you?
Oh, my goodness. Well, yeah. Anyway, thanks for being here, Jonathan.
It's been good, man.
Yeah,
it's been good, guys.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah, really good.
Thank you so much for listening to Lunch on the Way. And if you've enjoyed this episode or any past episodes that we've published, please hit the subscribe button and like button on YouTube and the follow button on whatever podcasting platform you are using. It goes a long way. Jonathan, Graeme, and I, back in 2022, started this podcast because we wanted to have open-ended conversations that were exploratory and a little bit risky and allowed us to venture into uncharted territory, not only theologically, biblically, philosophically, culturally, but also anthropologically as well, to help us follow Jesus better and to think better about the Christian faith and our discipleship to him. And so we are so glad that you've been joining us since 2022. And if you haven't, we have a whole back catalog of conversations and episodes that I still think are very relevant for today.